Hey dudes, this is Bonnie Hayes. I sang Girls Like Me on the original Valley Girl soundtrack. You're listening to Tommy Throwback Kovac on Splat from the Past. He fucking rocks.
Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming a legendary rock and roll duo, Billy and Bobby Alessi. You all know them for their 1984 classic Savin' the Day on the soundtrack to the classic Ghostbusters. But of course they had other hits as well, like Oh Lori and Put Away Your Love and Forever and so many great songs. And we're going to talk about all that stuff today. And I can't wait because I just love that song, Savin' the Day. I used to go to work as a security guard, motivated because of that song, because it was such a catchy tune, and it's got a real kick-ass feel to it, you know, because remember Venkman and all of them, they were saving the day, saving New York City in the last half hour of the movie. So yeah, here is my interview with Billy and Bobby Alessi.
Hello.
Hey, Bobby.
How you doing, Tommy?
I'm great. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I got Billy here. Hi, Tommy.
Hi, Billy. It's such a great honor, guys. Thank you for taking the time today.
Oh, thank you. Our pleasure. How's the audio?
The audio sounds great.
Okay, great.
So, going back in time, at what age did you both start gravitating towards music?
Really, really young. At 5 or 6. Yeah, I have a great story.
Mm-hmm.
That when we were like really, really young, we started making up songs.
Yeah.
And there was an arcade in 116th, where we used to live in Rockaway. And they had to record your own voice booth.
Mm-hmm.
Looked like a phone booth, and you had to put 35 cents in.
Yeah.
And a little plastic record came out after you finished.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided we were going to go down and record it. And we got in the booth. We couldn't reach the coin slot. So there was a guy walking around, and we said, "Would you mind putting the money in the coin slot for us? We're going to record a song." And he said, "Sure, okay." And he put the money in, and it says, "Record ready." Yeah, and he's holding the door open, like ready to watch us. And we said,
Yeah.
"Closed session."
Yeah, we had those in my generation at Great America, those little recording booths. Yeah. Wow. What were your first instruments?
Actually, we both started on guitar. Steve Otto method. Our mother bought us a record, Steve Otto, and so guitar method. It was a vinyl record. You sit there and he's like, "Okay, first let's tune up." And and I remember one time, when you first started playing guitar, I don't know, did you ever play guitar, Tommy?
I played a little bit, yeah.
And it kind of hurts in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I was in the living room with the Victrola, following Steve Otto's method, and my fingers started to hurt, and I took the needle off the record, and I said, "Oh, it hurts." And my father threw an empty milking can at me, hit me in the head with it, said, "You're not a quitter. Put that back on." Yeah.
Tough love, I guess.
He taught us to swim by throwing us off a dock. Yeah.
Oh my God. Back when you could get away with that.
Yeah. They'd be arresting them today.
Yeah. Who were your earliest musical influences?
Well, believe it or not, when we were young, Stan Getz.
Mm-hmm.
Remember? Really into Stan Getz, and I don't know where the hell that came. He's a jazz sax player, and Little Anthony and Imperials. You remember that?
Yeah.
And of course the Beatles. Then the Beatles came around. We saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan's. Our mother and our older sister jumping up and down screaming. We're like, "Oh yeah, we got to do this."
How about
the Beatles? But we started with a little bit of jazz and R&B. Yeah, R&B.
Yeah. How about any Everly Brothers?
Oh yeah, Everly Brothers too. Once again, when you're that young, your mother is what she loves is you want to be.
Yeah.
She loved Everly Brothers. In fact, I remember when we were really young, I saw my sister, or it was maybe Mom's vanity with all these buttons with Elvis Presley. I'm going, who the hell is this guy?
I remember when my mother bought the record in the mail, and they got the 35, and they didn't have the disc to put in it.
Yeah.
So they put it on, and it was like, but Billy and I, we were like, 6 or 7, we were like, wait a minute, it's got to be right in the middle. We got it exactly right.
Got it perfect so that she could play it.
Yeah.
Billy J. Kramer, who's was managed by Brian Epstein.
Yeah.
We became friends of ours, and we produced some songs with him and stuff. And he gave us both for our birthday about 2 years ago. Gave us that little disc that I'm sure you remember that you put in the middle of the 45, the big hole.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And he gave us like sterling silver ones, and if I wear it, people go like, "What is that?" Yeah.
You better frame that then.
What is that?
I was reading that in high school you guys had a band called the Country Gentlemen. Yeah. What kind of music did you guys do?
We did mostly covers, but we actually got a record contract at like age 15 with Brent Records.
Yep.
And that's the guy that his big group on his label was the Amboy Dukes. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, Ted Nugent. Yeah.
And it was, remember his name?
Yeah. Bob Shad. Bob Shad.
Anyway, yeah. we test each other once in a while.
Yeah, and we record.
It was Saturday night. The song was called Saturday Night.
Saturday Night, yeah. But you can actually find that record on garage bands in the 60s.
And they talk about, in Saturday Night Live, the Country Gentlemen.
Saturday Night Live. No,
Saturday Night.
Yeah. But it was a great experience because we went and recorded
the Capitol Studio.
RCA Studio.
No, it was Capitol.
It was not RCA.
Maybe.
Okay, whatever. It was like, right on like 6th Avenue in the middle of New York City. And it was this giant room. And it only, in my memory, I think it must have been very similar to the Beatles recording,
At Air.
At Air, where they recorded. Because it was very, very clinical. You didn't touch anything.
The engineers had white coats on, like they were going to go operate on somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You'd wait, okay, go out and take your instruments, and you'd sit there, and they'd move a couple of things around. All right, we're going to do it. Are you ready? And it was like, what?
Anyway, yeah, so that was the Country Gentlemen. We actually won. We won the Long Island.
We won
the youth organization.
Some kind of. But we also won our high school. West Hempstead High School was like. I give them a lot of credit for our music. I've loved getting into it so heavily because we got it when we went to the high school. We walked into the school. We were like in 6th grade going into 7th, and they give you like a preview of the high school. And I remember we both went, took the school bus, went there, and they had somebody bring you around. And we looked in the hallway, and there were all these amps and guitars and drums piled up in the hallway. And we're like, there were groups. There was groups from the school.
Battle of the Band.
It was like a battle, or they were auditioning for the dance.
Yeah.
For the next dance, and they'd have auditions, and the auditions were open auditions, so you'd get to go in this little theater room and watch all the bands one after another audition, and then the student council would decide, okay, we'll take the electors, for this, and we loved that, and so we became, and then once a year they had a school talent show, and I remember we actually won it one year. The first year we won it
with Country Gentlemen.
No, it was Alessi Brothers and Friends. Remember?
Is that right?
Dean Ukrainian was so pissed off. But anyway, and we did Good Lovin' from the Rascals.
Yeah.
And And I guess
we won.
We killed it. But anyway, then they would have a band, a professional band that would come in at the end of the show and play for everybody, show you what a real pro band sounds like. Remember the
Newton?
No, the Encore that they were.
What?
But anyway,
I thought it was a Newton.
Eventually, as we went through school, we became the featured band. That was like a big honor for us.
Yeah.
Remember?
Come in and play and show everybody what it's really supposed to sound like.
Big time.
But that was, ninth grade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All good memories.
So, that's the early days.
Yeah, how long did that band last for?
We went from band to band. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we got some record deals. We were actually on Verve Records at one point, which is a jazz label. Right? Remember that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Pendulum, right?
and what was our agent's name? The guy that actually became, he's still Billy Joel's agent, but Arthur. His name. The guy, there's this guy with long hair, smoking cigarettes in some little office in the city, yeah, I can book you guys, and he booked us all over the place, and we just played. I remember our band was pissed off because Billy and I wanted to work on the weekend of Woodstock. They were like, no, we gotta go to Woodstock, man. Like, no, we have a gig in Pennsylvania. We're playing.
It was Newport. I went to Newport.
Newport?
Yeah. Rhode Island. You see the thing with the twins with Bobby and I?
Yeah.
He would some things, and I remember some things. So between the two of us, we put it all together.
Yeah, finish each other's sentences. I also see in 1970 you guys were in the Broadway production of Hair.
Right.
Yeah, how did that come about?
That was an experience. First time I ever saw a girl naked.
But we were before that. This guy David Lucas, who we made some records with him for Comic Future, remember?
Yeah.
And he had a jingle house that was on 46th Street, which was 2 blocks away from the Biltmore Theater on 48th Street. And there'll be a constant turnover of musicians coming in there to play on the jingles and everything. And one guy, Charlie Brown, sweet guy, he played guitar in the band for Hair. And he said, guys, they're looking for new cast members because Jesus Christ Superstar is going to take a lot of the cast members from Hair. You guys should audition. So he said, okay. And he said, you just got to wait online out there on 48th Street outside the Biltmore Theater. And
there's 150 people.
And we waited 2 weeks. We waited online. We just about get up to the door, and they said, sorry, we got to get ready for performance. No more auditions. But Charlie Brown, who was in the band, said, look, this is the second week these guys have waited all afternoon. And they said, okay, we'll bring them in. So they bring us in, and Billy went out first. And
Charlie Brown said, okay, you guys, when you walk in on the stage, the director and the people that be 10 rows back, you have to sing really loud. He said, because things like Broadway, you got to be able to project in that back row. He said, if you have a song you can sing really loud, and we were very much into the Beatles, and I said, you know what? Can't Buy Me Love. And I said, I can do that, Can't Buy Me Love by the Beatles. And he goes, okay, and he's brilliant guitar player. He plays it, and I sing it, and he goes, that's good, Billy. Okay, he said, Billy. And he said, Bobby, what song do you want to sing? And Bobby said, well, you know what? I was going to say Can't Buy Me Love.
I want to do Can't Buy Me Love. He said, okay, you both do Can't Buy Me Love.
He said, no, he said, Billy, you picked up. And I said, no, I picked Can't Buy Me Love. And Bobby said, well, I'm doing it too. He said, all right, so you both do it.
So Billy went out and did Can't Buy Me Love, and we also had to do a ballad. And we had, oh, God, I'd be in trouble if you left me now. But anyway, Billy went out and did Can't Buy Me Love and the ballad. And then they said, okay, next. And they said, okay, this is Bobby Alessi. And I came out on stage.
And they're writing on their pad. They look up.
And I sang Can't Buy Me Love. They said, wait a minute.
And in those days, we looked exactly like that. And they thought somebody was, we just heard this guy.
We heard this guy already.
Yeah.
And they said, no, that was his problem.
And then they said, let me see the other guy. And they dragged me out on stage, and I stood next to my brother, and I went, you're in.
And the first song they gave us was, which What a piece of work, man, which was always sung by the show was written to be done by a white and a black,
Yeah, showing that,
But they Billy and I
they threw that out and they made it just
twins. Get rid of the black guy, just two Leslie brothers.
Billy and Bobby singing "What a Piece of Work Is Man."
And that's where you guys met Pepe Castro from Blues Magoos, and that's where you formed Barnaby Bye.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't know what the hell we were doing those days, but I remember first time I made some real money, and Bobby met Pepe, and him and Pepe started writing and doing different stuff, and next thing you know, Pepe said, "We got a job. We can both play. I'm playing with him too." And I didn't take it seriously. And I remember when he said, "Yeah, we're going to go and see. We're going to play in a place called Home." And I said, "No, you're not serious about that. Right? We're not a band." Sure enough, Pepe cried, and then I went, and we went and played, and we got big ovation. Next thing we did, we played with Mary Clayton Thomas, and
we opened up for her at Kenny's Castaway.
And Ahmed Erdogan, and Clive.
Ahmed Erdogan was there, Clive Davis, there was a whole bunch of other people.
And Ahmed was, in those days, fighting for different groups. I mean, he was, and Clive Davis would win a lot of times. And he knew Clive was there. Ahmed came in the back, and I thought he was, the way he was like, "Hey, guys, come here. I got my limousine out there. I want you to come to my apartment, my house."
We had no idea who he was. I think Pepe knew who he was.
Yeah.
And he said, "Let me tell you how I got the Rolling Stones to sign with me." And we said, "You signed the Rolling Stones?"
And he talked about Clive Davis. He said, the Rolling Stones, I told the Rolling Stones when they were talking to Columbia with Clive Davis, he said, "Okay, Mick, ask him what was your first hit record, because I can tell you what your first."
Ask him name your first hit record. See how much they know about you. And they also have Satisfaction.
And it wasn't their first hit record.
Under My Thumb.
So he said, that's how I got, no, it wasn't.
It was.
Anyway,
Wow.
they signed with Ahmed, and Ahmed took us to his house, which was a mansion on Park Avenue.
Yeah.
And he us, and so we although we made a mistake with asking him to be our producer.
Big mistake number one was, he said, "I had this great guy, Reed Martin, that produces a lot of stuff. He'll produce you guys great. He's doing Hall & Oates and Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway right now. He's going to do you." And we said, no,
we want you on.
We want you to produce. We basically
was a big mistake.
we put ourselves.
And he said, "I'll try." And, in those days, it was on 62nd Street, and we'd be back there, and everybody would be, like, so nervous, because Ahmed owned Atlantic Records, and
Right.
and they'd be going, "Is Ahmed coming today?" Because we'd call him. I mean, we all had his phone, and you'd call him and say, "Ahmed, we're recording that other track that you like. Can you come to the studio?" He goes, I'm going to try. And all of a sudden he'd say, "All right, I'm going to be there."
Remember his secretary would call and say, "Okay, Ahmed is coming." And it was basically all in this is the early Atlantic Records. It was in one building on the west side. And all the corporate offices were on one end, and then studios were on the other end, where Paul and Oates and us and Donny Hathaway and Bette Midler were all recording. We were all sharing two studios there, and they'd call and say, "Ahmed's come. Ahmed's on his way." Everybody would be cleaning up like that. We'd run out. Ahmed's on his way. See everybody like cleaning up everything, trying to look proper. Ahmed's coming.
But before that, they'd be smoking pot, whatever.
Yeah.
I remember we had like an unbelievable we had a good deal with them, and we could order whatever we wanted. We'd say like, "Okay, we're having lunch," and we'd walk out into the
"Who wants a cheeseburger?"
"You want a cheeseburger? Want a cheeseburger? You want a cheeseburger? You want a cheeseburger?" People would yell, "I'll take a cheeseburger," and we'd order like tons and tons of food. And I remember one time Bette Midler coming up to us and saying, "Hey guys,
you could be paying for all that.
They're writing all this down. All this is coming off of your tab." So
don't think that it's just on the house.
Yeah.
It's on you.
Yeah.
At the end of the first year, we swear things. 801 hamburgers.
Did you guys learn a lot from Ahmed Erdogan?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, he was a great guy. I mean, he told some great stories. He told about the song "Inagata Davida."
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great.
He said, "Yeah, I go in the studio with these guys, and the guy gets on the microphone and he says, "Inagata Davida, baby." And Alan said, "This is great. What's the name of this song?"
No, I said, what are you singing?
He said, no, the name of the song was "In the Garden of Eden."
In the Garden of
And he
Eden.
said, what about the Inagata Davida? That's what I'm singing. In the Garden of Eden.
Alan said,
That's the name of the song.
no, that's the name of the song. Inagata Davida.
Oh, that's awesome. So did you guys decide that you were going to form your own duo, and that's what made you guys, that's what made Barnaby By break up?
Well, you know what?
Tell you real quickly how that happened. You want to tell them?
There you go.
Okay, you know, we did 2 albums on Atlantic Records, and neither one
Oh, we
did.
had more than 2 album deal.
Yeah, we did.
Mhm.
And they had to pay. It escalated each year that they would, each album that they would. And we got to a point where we weren't selling a bunch of records, and
They didn't want to give us the 3rd album.
Jerry Greenberg called us in and said, look, you know, you guys haven't been selling a lot of records. And I remember Jerry, the other guy, the big anyway, saying to us, we got to pull the fat out of the fire, guys.
What?
Yeah, I know. Whatever. Anyway, so they kind of like, and also at the same time, within the band, Peppy and Mike started pointing fingers, you know, saying like, you know, well,
it wasn't. We
yeah,
didn't
you
have
know,
to-
maybe if Billy and Bobby were better musicians, you know, we would be further along, blah blah blah. And Peppy making demos on his own.
And Atlantic Records said, okay, you guys, we're not going to give you the $100,000 for the 3rd album, but we will let you record a 3rd album. But if you don't, you know,
We're not gonna-
otherwise you're off the label.
We're not going to give you more than 100,000. But anyway, we're not going to give you the advance. So it's in the contract. So if you want to move ahead, you know, we're going to without the advance. So at the same time, Billy and I were wooed by this guy Steve Warkham, who worked for Terry Giant. Who is it? Terry.
Anyway, he managed John Denver, and
Jerry.
Oh,
What was his name?
Milton Oken?
No, but it was part of the big 3. It was him,
Jerry Weintraub?
and
Jerry Weintraub.
yeah, Jerry Weintraub.
Weintraub.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You're doing your home. But anyway, so they,
And,
Matt managed Billy and I.
and they said, you guys, we can fly out to LA. We'll give you your own record deal with A&M Records.
Yeah, and we did go out to LA and met with Kip Cohen and Jerry Moss. And
When we come back, we already made a deal.
no, they told us, they said, so you guys are under contract. We said, well, you know, we're under contract until April 15th, and then the contract runs out if they don't give us the advance. And they said they're not going to give us the advance. So they said, okay, don't say anything about this to them. Just keep very quiet and let's let April 15th go by. And when April 15th goes by, you know, we're in business. So we didn't say anything. You know, Pepe's like exploring new avenues, and Mike was also. And the date came and went. And right after it went by,
One of our records on Barnaby By hit the chart.
Can't Live This Way went on the brand new disco charts. Who ever heard of disco? And I don't think Can't Live This Way was disco. But anyway, it was on the charts. And
Pepe told us, oh, guys, great news. They want to pick up the
yeah,
option.
they're going to pick up the option. They're going to give us the advance.
Too late.
No.
We got a record deal on A&M Records, and it devastated everybody. They go, what are you talking about? You know, anyway. And that's how that ended.
Wow.
Yeah.
Record business is nuts. And Bobby, you wrote Oh Lori for your wife, right?
Yep. She wasn't my wife yet, but yeah.
Yeah. Did she like it?
I guess. Yeah.
Oh, she was so they were so wrapped around each other.
Oh, here's another quick story for you, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
When A&M moved us out to LA, I just started dating Lori. She was 18, and I was crazy. She was crazy about me, and
our management said, "You guys are gonna move away from your parents. You know, we were young.
You're gonna move out.
They're gonna get you an apartment in California.
Yeah, and you're gonna drive your own cars. We each had a cat. We took our own cats and drove across the country. And I said, Billy, we got out there. I said, Billy, I can't take it without Lori anymore. I said, would you mind if I brought her out here?
You know, we had a 2-bedroom apartment.
Just for a while, she'll live with me. And we didn't tell our manager. And Billy said, no, I love Lori.
And we were living at Marina del Rey, which was a beautiful place.
Yeah, so quickly we had a sailboat right across the street. But anyway, so Lori came out, and she would have to hide in the closet when our manager would show up. And one time, we were getting ready to have dinner. We had 3 plates.
He walked in just after dinner, and you see the 3 plates, you know. He goes, oh.
And Lori's hiding in the closet. Who's here for dinner?
But he knew, and then, but it was fun, and, it was all worked out great. Lori was in the band.
Yeah.
She's a sweetheart. After we had 2 kids, and then all of a sudden she decided she didn't want to grow up anymore. And who does? But she wanted to be free.
Oh.
So we're still good friends.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I love the song "Put Away Your Love." I think it has a great synthesizer sound to it.
That's a Billy song. That's a great song. Billy is one of my favorite songwriters.
Yeah, it has this England Dan and John Ford Corley feel to it. That synthesizer is just it's beautiful. I love it. Yeah.
Thank you.
And also, Forever, you guys got to work with Christopher Cross, who was like the king of soft rock during that time. How did that come about?
That was Quincy Jones decided, he had Quest Records, and they wanted a token,
a derivative of Warner Brothers.
Yeah,
they gave him his own label.
But he had Danny Austin.
They needed some white guys.
Yeah, they wanted a white act, to diversify their label.
Yeah.
And he picked us, which was amazing. We went out and hung out with Quincy. Meanwhile, while we were hanging out in Quincy's house, he had a great music room in his house. He was married to Peggy Lipton.
Yeah.
And
from Hot Squad.
And we go to his house, and Michael Jackson is in the front playing with his kids.
On the grass.
Yeah.
Wow, nice. And of course, we all know that classic tune you guys did for Ghostbusters, "Saving the Day," which I love. How did you guys come up with that song, and how did the Ghostbusters soundtrack come to you guys?
That was the engineer, Phil Ramone.
Phil Ramone.
Phil Ramone had his wife loved our music.
Yeah, we sang on the John Lennon's album.
Yeah,
Money for him.
Had to sing for John Lennon. Anybody who was working on it, he'd get us involved in.
Mm-hmm.
His wife loved one of our songs. We recorded that with him, so we became friendly with him. And Ivan Reitman approached him and said, "Okay, I need music for this movie I'm working on." And he came to us and said, "Look, a lot of people are going to be competing for this, but
we're really trying to get the theme song.
We're trying to get the
Ghostbusters theme song." And they sent us actually the song "I Need a New Drug" by Huey Lewis and the News.
Right.
We matched the tempo exactly. We did everything, and we were writing all these songs, and finally,
But at that time, Tommy, we were doing a lot of jingles. We've done a ton of advertising, so we were good at writing something like something else, but without getting sued. Because a lot of times you'd write something, they say, and they call in the music lawyers, and they say, "No, you're going to get sued for this." But
plagiarism.
So we steered away from
stealing the song.
"I Need a New Drug," and we wrote some good songs for it, but we didn't get it, and Ray Parker got it, and he ripped it off verbatim. I don't know if you ever noticed the similarity.
Oh, yes.
He got sued for it, and we said, shit, you didn't tell us you wanted to steal the song.
Yeah. And we knew Ray Parker because he played on our records, but he got sued for it. But by the time he got sued for it, he had made such a great deal with them. He had part of the merchandising. I remember my son was a little tiny kid, and he loved all the Ghostbusters toys. I'd go pick up the toy and look on the back of the thing, and on the very bottom it said Radiola Music, and I was like, oh,
Radio music.
no, Radiola.
Radio.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh shit, he's getting the merchandising. So he made so much money, and the settlement was like, I don't know the exact numbers, but let's say it was like $700,000.
Mm-hmm.
He made $7 million on it. So he gladly.
But anyway, so we worked on different scenes. They sent us the movie scenes that just had penciled in ghosts and stuff, and Bobby came up with the saving the day for the scene after they go to the mayor,
Mm-hmm.
and they save the day, which was thank goodness we got something on there.
Yeah, but what Billy's saying is they sent us it's called temp footage, and you see like a little scene from it, and they put in temporary music, and they put in Huey Lewis, I Need a New Drug.
Mm-hmm.
And Ray ripped that off verbatim, and
but Saving Day came about by other scenes.
Well, we were writing in other scenes too. I think Ivan liked what we were doing, and he kept sending us more stuff. Like, how about for this scene? Get something for this. Yeah.
Yeah. I talked to Huey Lewis's former bass player, and he told me, even though he hasn't talked to the guys in years, he says up until the day he was not in the band anymore, they were all pretty upset about that whole experience.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they were. I bet.
Oh yeah. I mean, like I said, we said, shit, you didn't tell us to steal the song.
But especially when they probably settled on whatever number it was. I know it was a fraction of what Ray.
I mean, that song just took a whole new, ownership.
Yeah. I used to. Yeah, I used to be a security guard, and this song was like my motivation song to go to work every night.
Saving the day, yeah.
Yep, saving the day.
We have a. I'd be happy to send you a copy. We have, for years, since the '80s, we've got millions of, not millions, but
requests,
hundreds of questions like, where's the version with the horns, and where is this version and that version,
Mm-hmm.
and we did so many versions of that.
Because it was actually used in a bunch of parts of the movie.
Yeah.
You didn't realize it.
Yeah, Ivan would call us up and say, I need another version. And so we did all this versions. People asking me for the different versions because there was only the soundtrack version, which was on the album. Yeah. And one day I was replacing my oil burner in my house, and I had to clean out all this shit around it.
Mm-hmm.
And I came across a box that said Ghostbusters. It was
all the 24 track, the original.
It was all the original tapes. That I had, I don't know why I kept them, and it had all the versions, all the, coming up from the hole and this and that. Mm-hmm. And we took it to a studio and had them, heat them up so we can, digitize them and put them all. And Bobby made a CD called Every Version There Ever Was. Of the day. And it sounds like hotcakes. I'll send you one if you'd like, Tom.
Oh yeah, I love that. Is on the cover? You guys are like wearing Ghostbuster outfits. Yeah, I saw that picture. That was pretty cool.
We'll send it to you.
I'll send you a copy, and I'll also include the karaoke version.
That's awesome. I actually am a karaoke singer. That would be great.
Oh, you'll love it. We have two versions, one with and one without background.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We'll send those off to you.
Awesome. I appreciate it. So, do you guys play a lot of shows when quarantine isn't going on?
No.
We've done a couple of the
virtual performances.
Yeah.
You too worried about the future of concerts?
I am. We had a show booked for May 1st that was sold out,
and then
we moved it to
August
28th. But I think that that might even be.
I spoke to the guy for the concert. That's not going to happen. So and they wanted to do a virtual pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a worldwide audience, and they realized that they could probably, because when we play these clubs, they get like 500 people there, but worldwide, he said we can get a lot more people. But
we recorded another album. We got a deal in Holland on this European label, and we had a whole tour. We're supposed to be on tour right now in Europe, and that all got put on the back burner.
It has to be devastating to a lot of these actors. A lot of people, that in this business, touring is how they make their money.
Yeah, we feel bad. We have a guitar player, Erwin Ben, and guy's amazing. Played on a lot of our records, and he's dead in the water. He played like 90 shows a year, and he's like, just nothing.
Oh, I know it's scary, but I think we'll all make it out of this alive, But you guys have any new music you're working on?
And I was just playing. When you were calling, I was playing Billy a new song. I'm writing. We every time we get together, it's like,
this is what I'm working on.
What do you think of this? I like it.
But we did just record this. What was the company called? What is the record label? Anyways, the record label in
Yoka?
Yeah. What's that name? That Coast to Coast or something like that. Anyway, they did a deal with us, and we did go to Holland last summer and record an album, a whole album, and with some great musicians. We recorded "Oh Laurie," which is sounds like Bobby Bublé now. Bobby an octave down.
Am I going to do the same thing? So we changed it, because we had an upright bass player. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool.
I don't know if when I send you the Savin a Day Ghostbusters thing, I'll also send you our last album of Water.
Yeah, which is good.
Which got very, very good reviews, and we've sold a bunch of them.
But this album is, all our other albums have been like, home recording, homebrew releases.
Yeah.
But this was actually a release from a company in Holland, and it was supposed to be a big release, and they had a tour booked and everything, and then all of a sudden this shit came down, so everything has been put on hold. But they were actually releasing it in vinyl, which was going to, and digital and CDs, but they were going to, because they're a vintage type of record label, and they were going to release our record with vinyl. Yeah. I don't know how many people have turntables nowadays.
A lot of people do.
Yeah. Well, you guys will bounce back from all of this. I mean, you're both in the Long Island Music Hall of Fame. You got to.
We're actually happily retired. Yeah. We just do this for fun.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. At least you still do it for the passion.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we do like to travel. We went to England to play a surprise party for a royal wedding.
Yeah, that was amazing. This woman who was marrying one of the Churchills, much younger than us, obviously, but when her favorite song was Seabird, and her gazillionaire friends contacted and said, "We're going to bring you over here. Love to surprise Timmy with you guys.
You're going to come to the Blenheim Palace. We stayed in
and performed Seabird."
And we were like a little surprise gift for her, But it was, and I brought my wife who's never been to England.
But it was so cool, Tommy, to see these, we're the super, super rich of the UK, and when they said, and they're all beautiful people, but anyway, this woman introduced us. She said, "Kimmy, I know you my whole life," and there's actually a video of it on my YouTube channel, but she said,
I'll send you a link.
And you always play this song. This song made me very, very happy. So I would like to present to you the Alessi brothers. And you see the look on her face. She was like, "What? What?" It was cool. So cool.
I felt like a little gift.
No, I felt like she was saying, "I present Sting." Get that look on her face, like.
But it was a great experience, and they also sent us to London. They, first class all the way, put us in hotels so that we could had cars taking us wherever we wanted. And a little bit of, we sang Seabird. I think we sang 2 or 3 songs, and that was it. But a mint, because they put us everywhere in hotels and stuff, and we flew home, and that was it.
That was a great gift.
But like you just said, I'm sure, guys, things will come around, and that was one of the things that we went, what?
Oh, and also Billy's wife Susan, who loves to dress up and everything.
Mm-hmm.
She came along with us. My wife didn't want to come, but she came, and she had, I think, 2 suitcases just for hats. For that wedding. It was fantastic.
Yeah. And then we came back, and the New York newspapers did a whole big spread of, the Alessi brothers do the royal wedding, and they had a whole spread on that. It was nice.
Oh, that's great. Well, Billy and Bobby, I thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, our pleasure.
Yeah. We're not shy to talk about ourselves.
No, you both were great. You kidding me?
Sure.
Yes. Well, you both have a great night over there, and just email me, and I'll give you my address and everything.
Yeah, send us the stuff, so we'll send out a shitload of stuff. You'll be busy for the next month.
Very much, and thanks to all your listeners.
My pleasure. Have a great night, guys.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, there you have it. The Alessi brothers. Not Alessi, Alessi. I apologize for that in the intro. Aren't they cool dudes? Man, I mean, classic, pop music, virtuosos. I'm so glad that they're still doing what they love, even though they're retired from all the big stuff like the road and what have you. That was pretty cool of them. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Till next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Saving the day, saving the day. Don't wait till tomorrow. Later, dudes.